This is Andre Touchy-Feely. You're listening to the Verbal Scrap Podcast. Let's get weird.
This is the Shark, Anthony Avila. You're listening to Verbal Scrap.
This is Justin, the Raw Deal Basement. You're listening to Verbal Scrap.
This is Nan Fan, and you're listening to the Verbal Scrap Podcast. I'm a fighter. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to fight.
Hey, this is Dave Hirschbein, MMA Gold, and you're listening to the Verbal Scrap.
I've worked so hard to do what I got to do in here. I took so much blood for this sport. I took so much pain, everything for the sport.
Hey, y'all, this is Zeke Johnston. You're listening to SRMMA.com Verbal Scrap. Stay tuned. They got some good stuff coming up.
This segment is brought to you by Bill Smith Photography. You can find information on them, billsmithphoto.com, out of Roseville, California. Their number is 916-749-1026. Their company began in 1947, founded by Bill Smith, and today they continue to be a family-owned and operated company. They offer all kinds of things from senior photography, family photography, business, and wedding photos. You can find more information once again at billsmithphoto.com or find them on Facebook, facebook.com/billsmithphoto. It's JW from SRMMA.com here on the Verbal Scrap Podcast. Have a special guest on the Lana's Egg Whites hotline, King Mo, going to be competing November 2nd in the Bellator event. How you doing today, my friend?
Man, you know me, I'm doing good, man. Feeling good.
Well, I wanted to ask you, this coming up event is a little bit different for you. I mean, obviously, you're going to have the interim light-heavyweight title on the line. That's all good in itself, but you're also going to be taking on Emmanuel Newton in a rematch. I mean, what are your emotions coming into this event?
There ain't no emotion at all. It's business to me.
Well, light heavyweight title on the line. I mean, what do you think about potentially holding a belt in Bellator? I mean, you've been in the organization for a while now. You've been trying to work your way up, and now you have the opportunity to hold that interim title. What does this mean to you?
This means a lot to me. It's time for me to get into the title and to redeem myself and take care of, reverse this loss I got last time, and then hopefully get a chance to fight Tilla Vey and unify the belt.
Well, I was going to ask you, since this event's going to be on the November 2nd card, it's going to be on pay-per-view. I mean, you're a guy that many people are going to tune in to pay for. What do you think about being on the same card that Tito and Rampage are on? I mean, it's going to be a big event for Bellator, and they have you on that card.
I'm just hoping that it brings recognition to the fighters on the card. You have guys like Eddie Alvarez, Mike Chandler, Daniel Strauss, and Ted Kern, who are great fighters, but they're not known as much. So I'm hoping that this will give them the platform to be seen and recognized and respected.
Well, like I said, you're going to be competing once again against Newton. Last time we spoke, you felt like you did pretty well in the fight. You just happened to get caught. Are you still of that mentality? And if so, what's training been like knowing you're going to go against him again? And I feel like you did a lot of things successfully. Do you feel like the same game plan is in place?
You know what? When I see him, I know that he got lucky. I just got caught. Nothing changed in training. It's the same game plan going in last time, but this time it's going to be more effective. And I think he's scared, in a sense. Like when you watch the fight, he was like jerky, and turning his head. So, we'll see. I know he's not afraid of me. I think that just this event, I think that it's going to get to him.
Well, since your Newton loss, you've been on a tear in Bellator 96. You were able to take out Seth Petruzelli. I wanted to ask you about that KO. I mean, he's known for having powerful hands, and you went in there, you did your thing, and you finished the night quick. I mean, what did that fight do as far as giving you even more confidence in your KO ways?
The fight just reassured that I got knockout power, and people know that I have knockout power. And I just showed it in a devastating fashion with the one-punch, 900-pound knockout.
Well, you followed it up on July 31st, Bellator 97, with another TKO win over Jacob No. You had said before the bout that you guys felt like you were friends, and he in some way might have disrespected you. Do you feel like afterwards you guys kind of cleared the air, or do you still feel like there's an issue between you guys?
Between me and Jacob No?
Yes, sir.
Oh, we're good, man. There's no hard feelings to do business, but he was talking trash, so I figured I'd talk trash, and I knew a lot more about him than he knew, that I knew. I knew his boxing trainers. I knew who he fought in the boxing pros. I knew a lot about him, so he was kind of misinformed about what he knew about me.
Well, we're here talking to King Mo on the Lana's Egg Whites hotline. Going to be competing November 2nd for the interim light heavyweight title. I wanted to ask you, you also made some comments recently I thought were very interesting. I wanted to pick your brain a little bit about it. You had said that Semi Schilt was overall what you felt to be one of the greater overall fighters in the industry, and obviously the man's got a wealth of kickboxing experience. He's also gone 26-14 in MMA, and like you had said, some of the biggest contrary arguments might be in Alistair Overeem, but I wanted to just clarify more. What do you see in Shemi that you find so respectful? Do you take anything from his fighting style and morph it into your own, or do you just see him as an all-around durable guy?
Well, there's nothing I really could take from Semi Schilt besides a stiff jab and punch out, because he's such an abnormally tall guy, you know what I'm saying, with very, very good skills. But as far as K1, he had longevity in K1. He beat the best guys out there. In MMA, he fought the biggest organizations at the time. He fought in Pride, he fought in UFC, and he was submitting guys and stopping them. He was an all-around good fighter.
Well, some of our fans had some pretty interesting questions for you, but I just had one or two I wanted to ask you. You've been around doing all kinds of stuff, wrestling. You had an opportunity to get a shot at the Olympics at one point in time. If you weren't involved with mixed martial arts, if you didn't get involved with wrestling, what do you think you would be doing? Do you think it would be good? Do you think it would be bad? And where do you think your life might be at this point?
I'll probably try to be a boxer.
Really?
At the time when I was in high school, I was going to a boxing gym. This guy in McKinney, Texas, and a guy named Candyman was running it. And I drove out there and played around. I didn't know what I was doing, but I enjoyed it. I love boxing. And my wrestling coach was like, "Hey, Mo, stick with wrestling. You can be good. And you can get a scholarship to college. Boxing can provide that for you." So I just chose to go with wrestling. But I love boxing.
Well, being the boxing fan that you are, it almost forces me to ask the question, what are your thoughts on Money Mayweather? Do you keep up with the sport? And if so, what do you feel about the way he's been able to go undefeated and pretty much make the opponents that he's been competing against look like they don't have the skills that they were once hyped to have? What do you feel about him as a fighter?
Floyd Mayweather is a very special fighter. Ahead of the time, he's an all-time great. Now, I can't say the greatest, because in my opinion, the greatest is Sugar Ray Robinson, Henry Armstrong, Willie Pep. But he's up there with the greatest.
If you could look back on your career so far, this was another question that I thought was very interesting. Is there one or two opponents that you feel like you've taken the most from as a fighter and built off of? What do you look back on as some of your pivotal moments inside the cage?
My second fight with Fabio Silva, because I had to go 3 rounds before I stopped him. And then my fight with Musashi, because I really, to be honest with you, I wasn't really ready to fight him. I didn't know what I was doing out there. It was so short in my career. And no, I really had no, it was my 7th fight ever. And I went 5 rounds with him.
Well, I also wanted to ask you before we let you go, Bellator obviously been making big waves in the MMA world, doing good things. Now they're going to be on pay-per-view. You have an opportunity to hold the interim title and potentially unify that title, and you're still really young in the sport. What do you feel like Bellator has done to your career, and what do you feel like the success that you've had in Bellator is going to continue to do for you?
Well, I feel like Bellator has rejuvenated my interest in MMA. I like doing it, I like training, but at the same time, I kind of get irritated with what's going on in it. But, now that I know Bellator, they win MMA as a true sport, so I know that if I keep on winning, all I do is keep on fighting winners. They tell me a lot as far as being supportive and signing me. So, I can do is fight for them and get this belt.
Well, Lana herself from Lana's Egg Whites wanted me to inform you that she loves you, she respects you more than anyone, and that she said she's very grateful to have you on her team, part of the A-team of Lana's athletes. What do you think about the particular supplements that you've been able to get from those guys, and what has the relationship been like for you with her?
Oh, man, Lana, she's like family to me, We text, we talk, She says she goes, lovely egg whites I eat every morning. It feels great to be respected. Because sometimes, you get sponsored by people and they kind of look at you like, hey, do this, do that. But with Lana, she respects me and we'll chop it up here and there. She'll drop me some inspirational lines. And, I just like that. I like the positivity she brings. She's a very positive woman and I like that.
Well, I only had a few more quick things before we let you go. One, I wanted to ask you your thoughts about the growth of mixed martial arts. At one point in time, you'd be lucky if you could find a big-name MMA fight once a month, maybe. Now it's almost as if you can turn it on every week and find a fight on television, nationally televised. Do you believe that overall it's a great thing for the sport? Do you believe that there might eventually be a saturation and fans might tune out? Or do you feel like, the way that it's going and the exposure that it's been getting as far as mainstream is overall a good thing?
It's getting back. For a simple fact, back in the day, years ago, when Pride was having events, and when the UFC was first having events, they're like every 2 to 3 months, and we'd be amped up just to wait for the fight. We'd be antsy. Oh man, one more month. Okay, the day of the fight. All right, y'all, come to my house. You get the pizza. Everybody pick in $5. I'll bring this. I'll bring that. And we all there watching. Now it's to the point where people are like, "Hey, there's a fight this weekend." Really? Oh, I didn't know. And then everyone's, back then, you had like 5, maybe 3 to 5 good fights in the card. Now it's one, and people are used to, subpar stuff. That's all it is.
Well, do you feel like with so much MMA being brought into the mainstream public that does it put any pressure on fighters to do more above and beyond to kind of stand out, or do you feel like eventually fans are going to catch on to you because there's so much exposure out there?
Well, it just depends because, it depends. Because sometimes you win, you get looked at as a loser because, you're born. But if you have to realize, if this is a true sport, all that matters is if you win. Like in football, how many times you said, man, you heard, man, the Super Bowl was boring this year. Oh, man, I can't stand the Super Bowl. I can't stand watching the Bills play. You don't hear that. It's about the result. It could be a 3-0 game, and what comes down to it, oh, man, they stopped manning on the 15-yard line, fourth and goal. You know what I'm saying? That's what people care about. It's not about, like, people care about the results in true sports. In MMA, they want, like, he's born because he takes the safe route. Well, you want me to get beat up? You know what I'm saying? Just win. That's all that matters. Just win.
Well, I wanted to ask you lastly before we let you head out. Everybody's in the regions, in the smaller circuits, even when they get into the bigger name shows, it seems like everyone has an eye on the UFC still. You've been able to do outstanding things in Bellator, and now you have an opportunity to potentially win an interim title, unify that title, and make a really long durational hold here in Bellator's cage. Are you feeling comfortable with them? I mean, do you have your sights set anywhere else, or do you feel like you're at home right now?
I'm at home. I'll tell you this. Everyone that's known me and everyone that's interviewed me has asked me, what's your goal? My goal is to be paid and to be champion. I don't care where. My goal is to be paid and be champion. I don't look at the UFC as anything. It's another organization. So, if it's like if MMA was like a true sport, then it'd be like football and basketball and baseball. And what about that is they have feeder programs. The best kids from junior high go to high school and play varsity, and that's the best kids from the varsity programs go to college, and the best kids from those programs go pro. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you got some successful kids in basketball, they'll skip the pros and go from high school to the NBA. But you have a true feeder program. With MMA, there's no feeder program. So what they can do is they can get a homeless bum to the streets and be like, "Hey, this guy's a world-class fighter. Just watch him fight." That's what MMA. It's hurt MMA as a sport. There's no true feeder program. You don't know who's really good.
Well, Bellator is going to be very happy to have you guys competing at the next event. I wanted to give you an opportunity to give thanks, shout-outs, anything you'd like to say before we let you off the air.
Oh, man, I want to thank Lana for the great egg whites and support, and for the platform to do an interview with you guys. MMA Elite, Nutrition Zone, Bellator, TNA Impact, Ohio Valley Wrestling, and the Mayweather Gym, just Mayweather. Everybody out there doing something positive. Iowa State Wrestling, Kevin Jackson, and my boy Deron Wynn. I'd like to give everybody out there a shout-out.
Well, King Mo's going to be taking on Emmanuel Newton November 2nd. You can find the event on pay-per-view. Check out Bellator.com for more ticket information. Going to be down in Long Beach, California. I wanted to once again thank you for your time. I really appreciate it, and I really wish you the best of luck. We'll all be watching.
Thanks, man.
Verbal Scrap Highlights.